watafaidika na hayo maoni. Wacha kwanza nimkaribishe Unknown Scripts. Your camera inatuonyesha, sijui kama uta drop camera kidogo ndio tukuone. Just a little bit. We can't see your face.
Yes, good evening, but I can see you well. Eh?
We want to see your face, or you are hiding your face. That's better.
Okay. Yes, good evening, Richie, Stone. Stone, I left you here and you are still here. Does it mean hii maneno imekukashirisha sana? Guru, Benson, Utu, yes, and Richie. Stone, I was just commenting that I think I left you here and you are still where you are. So it looks like you are working 30 hours or you are in this.
Ruto must go. Bado mapambano.
I think I'm beginning to get what you are saying. You know, some of us have been thinking deeply, and I was just wondering, maybe we need to start a reject GMO movement, and or alongside the IEBC, because looks like there is a script, as I think is it Benson who mentioned, there is a script that once that committee, you know, they are basically going to vote, and once they are voted, they are going to write to the president, and the president, in his capacity under the law, is going to ask the commissioners to step aside, and that is going to be the end, and the rest of it, everything from there on will be handled by the tribunal. Now, that being the case, you do realize that even what Paul Mwangi was talking about going to court, all this is going to be overtaken by events. Now, if I would have my way, if I was around where I could do anything, my route would be, there have to be demonstrations so that those commissioners don't honor. They don't come anywhere near Parliament for those summons. Anybody going to court to stop it would not work, because the courts, as we have seen, are together with the president. Parliament itself is with the president. The church, if you remember the praises, now the president has the audacity to go to foreign countries to praise the church wing that they have in Kenya, and trying to brand everyone else non-Kenyan, non-Christian, or non-God. I think I do not know whether the president is aware of the sort of division he is trying to plant. It is very sad. You cannot go and try to balkanize this country now into God people and non-God. Based on which barometer? It is a very sad situation of affairs. And to go to other countries to start to talk about the Kenyan elections, which elections nobody even agreed with. Yeah? Now, yesterday, Stone, we did talk here about Martha Karua taking the case to the East African court. And I remember you were like, no, this is going to be a waste of time. Well, for some of us who know, Martha is not going there so that the Supreme Court decision can be overturned. No. In the event that she goes to the East African court and they come up and agree with the argument, do you know the consequences of that? You know, Kenya being part of the Commonwealth, it means that this ruling can be used in other cases across the world. But if the East African court thinks otherwise, that they agree with her that it was not properly done, that will be the end of it. It will not be a citation in other jurisdictions just based on that, and it will do quite a lot on this. If the Supreme Court has a CV, it will do a big dent on that CV. So some of us who see Martha Karua's intentions as being futile, not necessarily. Not necessarily. Remember the losers, okay, the Azimio side, the losers are already citing interferences. Now, the finding of that court would be quite an eye-opener on exactly what happened there. And other parts of the world will be looking at that election with that kind of other eye. As much as they cannot overturn what the Supreme Court did, that case would be dented, the findings and the ruling itself. And who knows, even in the same Kenyan Supreme Court, going forward, they'll be a lot more careful. They'll be a lot more careful. And remember, for me, the biggest danger of that ruling was to do with eroding the faith of Kenyans in the judiciary. The Supreme Court did itself a lot of disservice as far as that is concerned. And as we all said here earlier, some time back, you realize that how many people will be running to court whenever they have an issue now? People are going to start keeping off the courts. That is not any good for any country going forward. And that seems to be the trajectory that the judiciary now is going to be leading Kenyans. You can imagine when there is now a fight here and there, nobody will be willing to go to court. Nobody will be willing to go to court. Now, to talk about the contradictions and the promises that the president had given, and just doing the opposite. This issue of the treasury is empty. Well, the treasury may be empty. Where are they getting all the spending? Just seen that video that you played. The team is just too much. And you can just see obvious misuse on government opportunities to try. Some people are treating this as holidays. You wonder whether they were even there to attend the sessions of what was going on. Well, so much is going wrong, and unfortunately, the same law, the laws are like you're tongue-tied. This idea of innocent until proven guilty made me think the Kenyan situation is just not working. It's just not working.
Say you are muted.
Unmute.
Oh, for how long has it been muted?
Umekasirika, things are not going okay mpaka ukamute microphone. Utaki tusikie ile kitu unasema.
He has decided to speak to himself. Okay, go ahead.
The moment you said that the moment you said ni wapi umeachia mahali umesema ati things are not going okay, kwanzia hapo hiyo ingine yote umeongea peke yako, sisi hatukusikia.
Oh, the one about the promises.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was saying that. Look at the promises. Yesterday, I was saying that I was just suggesting that if we ever had an opportunity to do something about this constitution, Kenya is a very unique country. You can always say it's a peculiar country. You see all those promises, assuming that they are the ones that earned the current president where he is, and you can see he's not doing any of them. How can you make things better going forward? And that is why, for me, I was suggesting that in future, all those promises and the manifesto, once you win the presidency, Rishi, they become legally binding going forward. So that if the courts are not so rogue, we can actually challenge you there and insist that you vacate or you will be impeached for lying, because lying should be criminal. You cannot lie to us and con us to vote, give you votes, then later on you refuse us the subsidies. Later on, you refuse to reduce, you put the Bible down, you refuse to bring Unga down. The cost of living is high. Everybody was talking about it in the last 2-3 weeks to election. After winning the elections, the cost is going the opposite side, and we are all helpless about it. Anyway, let me just come back to the issue of the courts once more. You see, the issue of the commissioners. You can see these people are using the same laws which are operating in Kenya to unfairly remove the commissioners. Well, Richie had indicated that maybe Mapinduzi might be the only way to go, and I tend to agree. It's just that I'm wondering how do we can you have a legal Mapinduzi? Can we have you will explain when your turn comes. Can we have a legal Mapinduzi? Because you realize they are using the same law to frustrate Kenyans. You can't believe it. You can't believe it. In the entire world, these laws in other countries, they work so well because there are no rogue judiciary, there are no rogue parliaments, there are no rogue executive, and there are no rogue churches. So in the rest of the world, these things seem to at least work to some extent. In Kenya, you can see they are all total failures. They are all total failures. The issue of the GMO is very sad. As much as Mudavadi is saying that as far as he's concerned, this matter is with the Minister of Agriculture. I think I remember Richie was asking that what exactly, where is Mudavadi in all this, in the government pecking order or deliberations? You remember these people have what they call collective responsibility. And if I may just remind you, according to the president, Mudavadi's role is to coordinate. Mudavadi's role is to coordinate the overlapping roles by the ministries and the commissions, the constitutional commissions. There are areas where the roles overlap. So Mudavadi is supposed to coordinate this when it gets to that. When something is moving from the Ministry of Trade to the Ministry of Agriculture, then his role comes in there. Unfortunately, Gachagua is the one with the roles to chair the cabinet committees. So if in the event that Mudavadi disagrees with the Gachagua, you wonder at what point who will be doing what. Now, what Mudavadi was saying is just as far as it can go. It cannot have any legal anything because there will be no paper presented to the cabinet on those lines. All the cabinet papers will be drawn alongside the committees chaired by Gachagua and drawn by the ministers themselves. And remember, the ministers are all answerable to the appointing authority, to the president. So in the event that Mudavadi comes up with anything, there is no way he will take it. It will just be hot air, so to say. It will just end there. So to that extent, Gachaguas will go with their roadside declarations, but that is what will carry the day. And that is why what Kuria was doing is what will carry the day. Remember, as much as Ministry of Agriculture is the one to do what Mudavadi is saying, the Ministry of Trade also have overlapping roles when it gets to this. And whereas Mudavadi drawn the line, neither of us can, neither you or me can say where that line is drawn. So Mudavadi is just going to be that talk, and that is as far as it can go. When it comes to government policy and implementation, that is between Linturi and Kuria. Well, I'll end there for now, Rich. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Guru, I think you want to say something.
Yes, I want to maybe shed some light on the case that is taken to East African Community Court by Mother Karua. In a sense, the case, I think, is similar to the one she had taken there over her Ross as a governor.
Yeah.
Actually, the case is to examine whether the court handled the evidence that was before it in the manner that it should have. So it is not to go to the merits of the evidence itself, but did the court conduct itself in a manner in which the court should conduct itself, in how it handles the witnesses, the witness statements, and so on and so forth, which by implication has an impact on the outcome of the case. And therefore, like the case that she had taken there on her own account as having lost the seat for governorship, the court ruled that the Kenyan court did not give her the room to expose the evidence that she had, and therefore the final verdict could have been perhaps different if that had been done. And I think one of the best things about this case in East African Court is that it price opens the kind of conduct that we have in our Supreme Court. It actually is an audit of how the judges conducted themselves and the court systems. Are they adequate? Can they deliver, can they deliver a verdict that is above board? So holistically, those who think that this is a waste of time, it's only that Mother is playing at another league that they may not understand. And although it may not overturn what happened in Kenya, it will definitely lead to a closer examination about our judicial system, particularly at the Supreme Court level. And therefore, it is one of the best things that could have happened to Kenya, particularly, and I believe it is also going to be to enrich the jurisprudence in the region and perhaps even in Africa, because the issue of seeking justice has to do with the personnel, has to do with the resources, has to do with the systems, has to do with the political will. And therefore, all these, I think, will be coming into play when those judges at the East African Court sit. And therefore, we shall know whether the evidence provided was examined as it should have. We shall know whether the witness statements were handled as they should have. We will know the writing of the verdict, whether it was above board, and so on and so forth. So for me, I think this is another milestone in our democratization of this country. Thank you.
Oh, Richie, allow me to just say one thing before Guru exits. He has mentioned that it will be
Guru is not exiting, or you want him to go away?
No, before he. Okay, he's still around.
let me make a comment also. Just a minute. I think we should also look at the genesis of the issue that we are talking about, the issue of the 4 commissioners. By this I mean the Supreme Court had an opportunity to address the issue of the chairman and his powers when it comes to an independent commission. That one would be setting a precedent. We would have laws, we would have other, courts following what the Supreme Court declared on how the conduct of the chairman of independent commissions, behave themselves. But then the Supreme Court decided to cite the chairman, and they said he has no power, he has no unilateral power to make decisions, and put aside the other commissioners. Now, we have a situation whereby, by virtue of the Supreme Court just pronouncing that statement, just casually, let me say casually, and they did not recommend anything. They said that Parliament should come up with laws that guide how independent institutions carry themselves. So they left that to the Parliament of the Republic of Kenya. Now you see, these 4 commissioners were exposed at that particular moment, because if Supreme Court ingekuja iseme ya kwamba this is how commissions should be carrying their functions moving forward, then they would actually talk about what the chairman did, if what the chairman did is wrong or right, and then moving forward, hata kama kungetokea kesi ambayo inahusiana na independent commissions, tungejua kwamba the Supreme Court has already made a pronouncement upon the same. But now we have a chairman that was indicted in quotes by the Supreme Court, akasemekana wewe ulikuwa na makosa, na Supreme Court haikusema what kind of punishment, or for that matter what kind of recourse is supposed to be taken. Now these 4 people will end up paying with their jobs because of the failures of the Supreme Court. And that is why sometimes I look at what the Supreme Court did in their judgment. I like what Guru and Non-Script are saying here about Martha Karua going for some sort of clarification about the judgment that was made by the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court decision has actually vindicated what the chairman did. In what sense? In the sense that the chairman can still do something bad, can make an independent decision without consulting the other commissioners in any other independent commission, na hakuna kitu watafanywa. That is where we stand right now. If Martha Koome and the other 6 wanakuwa 6 mangapi, wange make decision, waseme look, we understand that the chairman did something wrong and this chairman is supposed to be punished for this, but these people decided the election, notwithstanding that the chairman's conduct was not according to the constitution, they decided, let us make this election free and fair, simply because the chairman's conduct does not affect the numbers. Now it begs the question now, if the chairman comes out, and they asked him, if the chairman comes out with numbers, na ana declare numbers ambazo yeye mwenyewe peke yake ndiye anajua mahali ametoa, who among the commissioners now is going to, to repel those numbers? Hakuna kabisa. So our Supreme Court has totally messed our country. our Supreme Court made a bad decision, I would have wished them, to say by virtue of the numbers coming from the chairman alone, then nobody else can say these numbers are authentic. Then we throw away this case. And, we set a bar whereby there has to be a consensus in any independent commission before a decision is made. But what do we know? That failed. We are here where we are right now. And I don't know. I don't know if these commissioners are, they were not even pointed. They were not even condemned by the judges. But now they are going to be put on the slaughtering table because of the political interest of the current regime. And like we said, the current regime is preparing themselves for the 2027 election. And with these 4 commissioners here, they would have the majority in that commission. I would expect these commissioners to stand by what they did even in the previous election. And if they see something that is wrong in an election, in the numbers, they will still do the same thing like they did. And so the president understands very well the only way for him to proceed ahead and rig the next election. There's nothing like an election that is going to, it is going to be a rigged election. He has to get rid of these 4 commissioners. So you had something to say.
Where has Tom Piquet gone? And we were executing. This case started yesterday. Stone Piquet, are you hearing us? Now, what I wanted to say, basically what Guru has said, this thing, for those who don't see, as I think Guru has put it very well, people who don't play in the Matters, the likes of Matters League, would not understand what this is all about. I've heard very many Kenyans saying the East African Supreme Court will not change anything. Of course, they will not change anything. But what I wanted to add is that Guru was saying that in terms of jurisprudence, this case would not be quoted or recognized in other countries. And I wanted to say that it is not in other countries only. Even in your next bench of Supreme Court judges, they will be challenged to rely on this case. If Martha's case is successful at the East African Court, even your own Kenyan future Supreme Courts, they'll have to desist from quoting this or drawing any conclusions from this case as guidance on their future cases. And I do not know your Supreme Court judges whether that how dented their CVs would be. So this case is not as futile stone as you are imagining. It will have a lot of impact. Then just to add on what Richie is saying, you see, these 4 commissioners who are at Parliament, their undoing is that they disagreed with the chairman. According to the parliamentary committee or whatever, they were the wrong ones. And yet, we all know that this case was not addressed by the Supreme Court so as to decide between Chebukati and the 4 commissioners who was where. The Supreme Court tried to avoid that. In fact, I remember the Chief Justice trying to say that that was their internal. The elections of a country, the judge Mkomi was saying that this was an internal IBC disagreement. Now they go ahead in their ruling to say that Chebukati acted unconstitutionally. And Richie, as you say, they stopped there without saying what should then be said. Indirectly, without knowing, when they said that Chebukati acted unilaterally, unconstitutionally, they were actually supporting the 4 commissioners for disagreeing with him. Now, that is why now, where the issue is now, where this matter is in Parliament, we need to take a movement because we know that Parliament cannot salvage the situation. The executive route will ride with it. The judiciary will ride with it. What options are left there? You need to have as many as possible regular demos that matter be left where it is, unless they want to divide the country. It is not difficult to divide this country, especially around the GMO issues. We can say those who are for GMO, wakae pande ule. Let's divide this country. Those who are against the GMO, tukae pande hu. Now, Stone, I think that would not be a very bad mapinduzi. Let the GMO be the one which is going to divide us. When you wanataka GMO, kaini pande hiyo ule huko. Hawataki GMO, wakae this other side. Okay. Thank you.
Haya, sio wanataka tuwe divided on the basis of GMO. That one is a new one. Sababu mimi sijui kama kuna mtu ambaye nimesikia anataka GMO. The people who are talking about Kenya adopting GMO are the people who are benefiting from the importation of maize. But Guru, nipatie tu dakika moja kwanza. I think this is what we were looking for.
The general election being a game of numbers, controversy arose as to whether the division within the Electoral Commission IEBC had an impact on the results announced by the Commission's chairperson Wafula Chebukati.
We, however, take cognizance